Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Today is Tuesday, March 16th, 2021, and I am Michelle Gramolia, the President and CEO here at Woodland Pond. And this is my weekly update daily update for Tuesday of the week. And I usually do one also on Fridays. I think, as you all know at this point, and this is the last time you'll hear me say this, this will be rebroadcast at 8 p.m. Tonight on channel 1340 and as well available on our YouTube channel. And I will send the link out via email. So I've got a number of topics I'd like to cover today, but the most important thing for me to mention right at this very moment is hopefully you have all seen now either an email from me, you've received a phone call from our automated system, or you've seen something on Connected Living that has indicated to you that we are currently right now in a period of time where our SARA personal emergency alert system is down for scheduled maintenance. And what that means is that right now throughout the entire campus, the PERS pendants are deactivated, the pull cords in your apartments and your bathrooms and cottages and so forth are deactivated. Your call bells in the health center are deactivated, and a couple of the other system components are deactivated. We had absolutely necessary maintenance that needed to be done, and our team decided to do it at this time because right now is our highest peak staffing. We met to discuss extensively yesterday the procedures we would put in place, particularly in the health center, to monitor your needs, provide you with alternative means of communicating with the staff that you need to use the restroom or that you have another need. So if you live, this is more specific to independent living, probably in assisted living, but until we give you the all clear or let you know that the emergency alert system is back online, the most important thing for you to do for the next hour or two is to have a cell phone or a cordless phone handy in case you accidentally take a tumble or you have a need for us. You can dial us up on your actual phone. And this does apply to the entire campus. So this is cottages, apartments, assisted living, garden view, skilled nursing, common areas. So this type of maintenance is periodically required. These are server-based applications, but we intentionally did it today while we have the most staff on site, and we actually staffed up additionally to make sure that we're meeting the needs of everyone. So hopefully that will be wrapped up today by about 1 o'clock. So let's see, we talked about that first. The next thing that's important, it's a little bit timely, is related to a calendar change. We are actually going to be canceling the management Q&A that was scheduled for tomorrow. And that's for two reasons. Number one, we actually have a new calendar item on the calendar for next Wednesday that will be very similar to this. And I'll explain that in a second. So we didn't want to have two that were kind of right in a row, being that this is the first time around with the new item that's on the calendar for next Wednesday. But also, it turns out that a number of our directors actually either had scheduled time off for St. Patrick's Day or are normally work from home on Wednesdays. So we're going to cancel that management Q&A for tomorrow. If you do have questions that you'd like us to address in the meantime, certainly send them along. And we will address those for you. Now, as to the new item that's on the calendar, next Wednesday, the 24th at 2 p.m., we're going to have a new item on the calendar, and this is going to be a new resident orientation. We are going to invite a number of residents that have moved in the last year or so. It's going to be limited to capacity based on what we can accommodate in the PAC. So we might have to do 2 sessions over 2 months. But the intention is to have the new residents come into the PAC, bring your handbook. This is for independent living folks in person, although this will broadcast on channel 1340. So everyone will actually be able to enjoy this. We're going to send out invitations, but we are going to reference items in the handbook. You're going to have an opportunity to meet each of the department heads, hear about 10 minutes worth of what each department head does for us at Woodland Pond, and really look right in your handbook to understand, okay, this is the most important policy that Tom wants me to know about, or this is the most important policy that Ronnie wants me to know about. This is to enhance all of the great work amazing work that the Welcome Committee has been doing. So it's not taking away from, but it's a modification a little bit of how we're introducing the directors, the policies and the procedures. So we're really looking forward to that. And as I said, although new residents will be invited to attend in person in the PAC, we are going to broadcast this on channel 1340 next week on Wednesday. And then it'll be available on our YouTube channel so that everyone that wants to reference, oh, what did they say about that topic? You'll be able to see that. So we're really excited about that. Ronnie said that last night's dinner in the dining room was a great success. So we're thrilled about that. And with continued success, we are very excited that within the next couple of weeks, we will be able to increase our capacity in the dining room. So keep those reservations coming. As long as we continue to see interest, we do have a little bit of room to add some more tables over the next few weeks. So after we get the first 2 weeks or so under us, and as long as everything goes well, we will be planning to add capacity. But for right now, please keep the feedback coming. Ronnie did indicate that although we of course are taking reservations, there are opportunities at times if someone can't come to the dining room or whatever, you could always try to walk in at 5 o'clock. We prefer that you call the hostess station because chances are there isn't going to be an available spot. But if you really have a hankering for sitting in the dining room and you didn't have an opportunity to make a reservation, you can just ask the question of whether or not there's an available seat, and we can just tell you yes or no. Reservations are working out great, and we're looking at expanding that system. I actually just got off an industry call with all of the CCRCs in New York, and it was a great roundtable. We're actually going to do these every 2 weeks. They're really fabulous. And, we talked about 3 main topics, one being vaccines, one being dining, and one being visitation. And during the topic on dining, we found that we are right where the rest of our peers are across the state. So every single CCRC in the state is utilizing a reservation system. Everyone is doing limited capacity. And we are the only one right now that is offering dining 7 days a week. So I'm very proud of that. Most are offering it 2 or 3 days a week with takeout service, similar to what we're doing in the bistro on the other days. So I'm thrilled that Ronnie and her team have been able to add back in-person dining 7 days a week. And we're looking at just continuing to do that for you and expand the opportunities. So that's great. And congratulations to Ronnie. And I hope that you all that had the dining experience last night really enjoyed it. Thank you all so much for the giant thank you board in the lobby. I came in yesterday and I was in tears. I know that it's not just directed at me, it's obviously directed at the whole community and our amazing staff, but I cannot thank those of you that are behind this, and I know who you are enough, and I will reach out to you individually. I found out today. And all of you that participated and all of you that signed your names. And the board is amazing. We are going to move it around the campus so that various staff can see it. I took a number of pictures. I'm going to send some to Gretchen so that she can put them in the newsletter, and we'll put them in our social media and things like that. But it was just, first of all, the board itself is so beautiful. And then just the sentiment of it is amazing. I was speaking this morning in my monthly meeting with Dave Smith, the president of the Resident Association, the president of the Residents Council. And, I said, for better or for worse, we really don't have a lot of tangible things that are memories from this year-long pandemic. And if the one thing we do end up having, which is a nice tangible reminder, is that beautiful board, I would say that we're that much more fortunate. So thank you again to everybody that participated in that and gave us your signature and your support. It really means more than I can possibly say. Let's see. Yesterday we had an interdisciplinary team meeting. Actually, we had several. We had one to discuss the call bell system, plans and outages, but we also spent about an hour discussing reopening plans, new protocols that had come out from the Department of Health and from the CDC. And a memo will be forthcoming from me, if not today, then tomorrow, to explain, sort of where we landed on a number of things. I am sorry to say, and this was, not what we all hoped for, but there really are not significant changes on the health center side at this point. We really went through all of the guidance with a fine tooth comb, and although the governor and the executive team at the governor's office, really continue to make it sound like they've, really loosened regulations and things, they really haven't. They're still very much limiting capacity to 20% of total residents. And now that's actually gotten a little bit tighter because they want us to include those folks that are on compassionate visits as well. They still very much want us to be facilitating outside visits or community visits as much as possible. We are working to try to understand what opportunities we might have to shorten the periods of time that people are on droplet precautions when they come back from a doctor's appointment or going off campus if you live in the health center. Right now, none of that has changed. So we are pushing hard to get changes made there, but there just really isn't anything new since last week in the health center. For those of you that have reached out to me, and there have been a number of you that have said, I want to go to my doctor's appointments. This is, again, just for the health center, or I want to go visit my loved one off campus. And then kind of expressing frustration about the fact that when you get back, you're placed on a 14-day droplet precaution protocol, which means very limited activity out of your room or apartment in either assisted living or skilled nursing. It requires our staff to wear full PPE when they provide care to you, and that seems frustrating, and I understand that. I just want to remind everyone in assisted living, skilled nursing, and in the health center that you can completely avoid those droplet precautions by not leaving campus. So doctors are still offering plenty of telemed appointments. So it's really your personal choice about what's the biggest priority to you, what is most meaningful for you at that time. Because there have been no changes to those droplet precaution requirements, each time you have a decision about, do I go to this doctor's appointment or do I, not, knowing that if I don't, I can actually, enjoy what's available at the community at this time, you have to make that decision for yourself. And what I have said when asked for my opinion is that if you have something that's medically necessary, that's going to result in potentially some kind of treatment or will attend to an existing health condition that needs attention, then I would go to that appointment if I were you. But if it's your routine eye exam and you've had no issues with your eyes, or if it's your routine dental checkup, but you've had no issues with your teeth, or if it's your routine mammogram and you know that no matter what that says, you're not going to treat breast cancer if it's found. If it's important to you to avoid that droplet precautions, then, talk to the nurses, talk to your doctor and find out how important is this medical appointment for me. So many of you are expressing a desire to be able to come out of your rooms, go outside and so forth. And so the number one way you can ensure that you can continue to do that until something changes at the state level is to avoid unnecessary or non-medically necessary trips off campus. So I just wanted to mention that. That's the same. In terms of independent living, we did have some very good discussions about what we feel comfortable with making changes in terms of for people that are vaccinated versus not vaccinated. Again, this is just for independent living. And I'm actually going to be issuing a memo with this in writing because there are too many scenarios to go through, and I think it's going to be confusing if I do it on this video. So we are looking at expanded opportunities with less quarantine time for people doing things that are vaccinated that are in independent living. So there's definitely forward movement on that, and we're excited about it. And I'm going to issue that. I'm hoping to get that to all of you today, although it's 12:15 and I do have a number of meetings. So I would just say, please look for those written memos. And we do have, some expanded opportunities and some changing protocols for folks in independent living that are vaccinated. On that note, we do have the availability of vaccines. We have been granted vaccination authority by the state and the county. We're working with them. We actually have available vaccines physically on campus. So if you have been hesitating about getting vaccinated, it might be interesting to you if you're in independent living to be able to do more on campus because you're vaccinated. This is probably the time to do it, because there are definitely going to be differences. You'll see, people that are vaccinated versus not, what the different protocols will be. So that's always your right and your option. Let's see, next week, we feel that we will be at a place that we can add back table games with pieces. So this is just for independent living. A lot of this has already been going on in the health center for months. We are going to be looking at bringing back Mahjong, Rummy Cube, and Scrabble starting next week. And Gretchen is working on a schedule for that right now. I don't want to say it's 100% until we see something in writing, but we are at the point that we feel that we've got enough space. We're now full 2 weeks into resuming card games and so forth, and we haven't had any concerning outbreaks. The difference between the card games that we have had and the table games that we're going to be adding back is that our staff have been doing the dealing on the cards, and cards have not been exchanging hands. With the Mahjong and the Rummy Cube and the Scrabble, there's an inherent, sharing of the pieces. So that's a much higher risk activity, but we are looking at being comfortable with bringing those back starting next Monday. Okay, the last thing, and this is so important, and I will reiterate this as much as I need to, but unfortunately, I came into several very challenging and concerning reports yesterday from the weekend of residents and approved caregivers coming to tell me that they had seen numerous groups of residents congregating at a couple of the different fireplaces on campus, far closer together than 6 feet apart, whether it be for live music or for just congregation, that the folks were far closer than 6 feet apart, far too close together, and also unmasked. We cannot have that. The only way that our reopening is going to be successful is if every resident in this community and every staff member wears your masks whenever you're around somebody else on this campus, with the exception of in the dining room or in the pool, obviously. We can't have it. And I need each of you to be feeling empowered to tell your neighbor, your resident, the people around you. If you come up on a congregate group, I think that's great. But somebody needs to feel empowered in that group to say, oh, we don't have our masks on and we should. Every single piece of guidance that comes out from the CDC, the Department of Health, all of the authorities, even those that are saying, we might be able to reopen the schools with kids 3 feet apart, every single one is saying because of masks. So I can't emphasize the importance of the masks enough. And if we don't have the masks being consistently worn by staff or by residents or by caregivers or the visitors that we're welcoming to campus, we're not going to be able to continue the amazing forward motion that we have, because there are variants of this virus that are potentially not protected by the vaccines. There are people on this campus that are not vaccinated. And so if you do nothing else, then put on your underwear. Please also put on your mask. It's just as important. So just as you would not go probably down to the concierge with bare feet, please don't go anywhere in this campus if you're around anybody else without a mask on. When you get in the dining room, you can take your mask off when you're seated. Same thing in the pool, but we all have got to wear our masks. That's the only way that this is going to continue to work. So just a friendly reminder, and certainly each of us should feel empowered to be encouraging each other to do that. So I will get this memo out on independent living changes and just a confirmation that health center remains unchanged at this point. We do have a number of visits available for your loved ones, both in independent living and in the health center. So if you would like to schedule a visit, please do so. We're offering lots of different types of visits right now, and we really want to see those visits happening. So go ahead and call a concierge or reception if you are looking to have a visit. And we will notify you all various ways once the SARA system and the emergency response system is back up. Thanks, everyone.